It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright, we got an interesting one here today. This one was suggested by Spy UA, and it's titled Ghoul Jason, Random Killer, Ghoul Jason, Random Killer, Ghoul Jason, Random Killer, and then you have like Squidward like looking like he lost his mind after he's getting overworked into chaos. And it doesn't really seem like it says anything else. It's literally just that. So obviously it's up to interpretation as to, you know, what the intention behind a post like this is. Now, I think there's going to definitely be more to discuss than the responses, but just going off of what we're seeing here right now, it's beyond obvious why this is the case. Okay? Jason just came out, one of the most anticipated chapters for the game, so of course you're going to have a lot of people trying to try out the character, trying to play the character, because that's what people came into the game for. Now, Jason already has been nerfed, I already believe, twice, which I believe was unnecessary. The character, right off of a release, was not very strong whatsoever, but the complaints from survivors are just so powerful to behavior. Like, they only care about survivors' feedback entirely. They're not interested in killer feedback. They're not interested in killer fun or anything like that. So with that in mind, obviously it makes sense. Of course Jason's gonna get nerfed twice for on add-ons that didn't need to be. A character that already is very weak. A character that is essentially Springtrap 2.0, which I argue Springtrap is technically stronger due to the fact that he can actually at least become a 4.6 killer and actually be able to catch up a little bit faster. Compared to Jason, where he's locked into locations, he's 4.4 at all times, and you have no benefits for missing your attack, really. So there's not a lot you can do. You can't run people down in that kind of way and stuff like that. It's overall, it's just not great. Okay? But we're gonna go ahead and actually take a look at the responses, because I do have a feeling that they're going to be pretty funny. So, first one says, no, you don't understand. We need to nerf survivors more so killers will play something other than broken, overpowered killers. They totally just won't keep playing stupidly broken killers. And that's where we come up. I wish I had the terminology to point it out, because I can tell you what it is. I can tell you like where there's a gap in logic, but I don't have the right terminology. I have to do some more research on the right terminology. But anyway, as we can understand here, it's one of those situations where their bias kind of blinds their perspective, and they genuinely believe that there are more than one. It's mind-blowing. They're trying to claim that that there are broken, overpowered killers, quotations, right? We're just trying to make that abundantly clear. They're trying to claim that there are, and I quote, broken, overpowered characters. Now, do they ever offer examples? No. Do they ever offer any perspective? No. Do they have any evidence? No. So it's just complaining, bitching for no reason. Doesn't offer anything to the conversation. Despite the fact that a lot of people that are playing this game casually are more than likely not continuing to play this game casually as a killer player, because there are casual killer players. I don't imagine that they continue to play this game, because obviously there's way less of an incentive. It's way less fun for a casual player. I've already shifted over to the casual side of town in that sense. I only load up the game for you guys on the stream, and we play like one match at most, right? So I'm literally the most casual that you possibly can be at this point, and I can say with confidence, there is no reason for me to load up the game. I load it up, and it's not fun. So it's like, why even play, right? So I can imagine that other casuals that are loading up the game are like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. This isn't fun. Like, So what's left are people that are either addicted to the game, or are mains of S tiers or A tiers, or third, you have like people that just like winning and then they pick what's the best that they can get access to. And there's probably like a fourth kind of player that will just try to play their character they like and win, as much as they can. So sometimes those Venn diagrams will cross, but regardless. So, what I want to quickly mention as well is like, yes, you do need to nerf survivors more because they have not received any nerfs. I mean, at all. Like in what we've seen in the past few months with this game has been continuous base get buffs, continuous like perk upgrades and stuff like that. They've been taking off downsides to perks. So like body knowledge had the 20% reduction in medkit efficiency reduced. Like not reduced, but like rather removed, my mistake. Removed entirely from the perk, which I thought was like the peak of their game design, I would say at that point, because they are so adamant on keeping everything overpowered for Survivor that it's like we don't get any brain power going into these builds when you have every single perk be passive with no downside. Like, I don't understand why there isn't, you do this to activate perks and then there is not more of this perk does this passively, but here's the downside because it's passive. But then if you have to activate something, that in itself is the cost. Like, I just don't understand like why that's the case, because killers have to constantly meet requirements to activate perks, but survivors don't have to do that all the time. Especially the stuff that's meta, like all of that usually requires you to actually activate stuff on killer, rather than when survivors, they have everything active at all times. That's why Vigil has been used so much, Sprint Burst has been used so much, Decisive, Dead Hard, whatever you name it, like it's just given to you. You're not actually having to complete something or do something. It's always given, whether you lose or whether you play badly, whatever the case may be. So now we find ourselves with somebody with over 10,000 posts on the DVD forum. So we thought that this clown over here was bad, right? We thought this clown over here was bad. However, the difference being that we haven't really seen this person post that much within these other discussions that we've seen before that have to do with like the most insanely biased stupidity. So the thing is, we care more about a moron like this with 4K posts that knows nothing about the game than we care about a 10K poster that is just saying like, hey, isn't Earth just the strongest kill in the game? So, which, yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You say, oh, it's overpowered killers, like plural, and it's like, which ones? They don't ever specify. So they say, in dearly, of course, another survivor main. They say, in dearly hope DBD won't go down the path of keeping killers with a high skill floor viable. The glare on man is a sickness. As if Survivor isn't the most crayon eating, like Shift W, spacebar ass gameplay. Like it's really, they like to pretend like Survivor is this crazy rocket science side to play when 90% of the match is on your gen. Like 30, I would argue 10 to 20%, you could say, of a match is dedicated to just being in a chase. But chances are chases shouldn't be long anyway. If the killer is trying to play, efficiently or intelligently, chases are not going to last that long anyway. So most of your time on Survivor is dedicated to either healing somebody on a gen and then back to healing somebody and then on a gen, basically. Like, you're filling a bar 80 to 90% of the time. And then you run somewhere and then do it again. The gameplay is not that crazy. The skill expression is there, but there's no incentive to continue to do that. And this person actually makes a good point that a nurse actually does take some skill to play. And then this person says just nerfed Ghoul already, even though he got nerfed, I think, 3 or 4 times? Like, so I don't know what they're talking about. They just gave him a few insignificant, a few significant nerfs. Going full skull merchant treatment so people don't pick a killer isn't a good way to approach balancing. I agree with that. So this person says I'm not asking for skull merchant treatment, but yeah, you are. You are asking for that, actually, because he already was nerfed. So like at that point you're just a moron, because it's like, what, pay attention to the fucking patch notes. They want to sit on their ass in the forums all day, but they can't seem to click on the same website. Can't seem to click on the fucking patch notes. Like, read the goddamn patch notes. Know what's going in the goddamn game instead of bitching. That would help. So, and this person's just like responds. He says he got 2 pretty big nerfs, and your reasoning for wanting more is no one likes playing against him. You're not pointing out any particular flaw with the balance, just yelling nerf it more. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. At least somebody has some logic around here, because Jesus Christ. This person says I don't mind playing against Ghoul. He's an M1 killer with mobility, which I agree. Because after he lands his leap or whatever it may be, he's back to M1. So he still has to down you with his footwork, or if he's using his power, he needs to actually know how to freaking use it. But because they're so like blinded with rage when the second they see a Kaneki on the screen, they just run into walls and die all day. And I'm like, that's your fault. Like, you're asked the goddamn game. If you don't want to improve at the game and you want to keep bitching about it, the chances are the game ain't for you. It's just what it is. I don't know why people are just like, it's a sunk cost fallacy. And then they're like, I don't mind Ghoul except the first easy no skill hit. I'm like, buddy, come on. Come on. Every character has a way of dealing damage to you. What's funny is we don't see people bitching about Plague because she can deal damage to you without you even looking at her, because of you getting infected. You don't see people bitching about that on the fucking forums. That's the crazy part about dumbass survivor players like this, because it's like, you're bitching about, oh, but the Ghoul has a free hit. I'm like, what? Like, you're just like low IQ, because every single character in the game has a way to hit you more efficiently. Like, you could bitch about Springtrap because, oh, he hit me from further away than an M1. Ooh. Or you could go, oh, I hate Spirit because I can't see her coming and she gets a hit. Like, okay. Oh, I don't like Ghostface because he takes 1 hit to kill me. Like, okay, like, every character has some way to hit you that isn't just slapping them with their weapon. Like, come on, bro. It's like, it's such a low IQ like response. Like, you just hate Kaneki just because everyone told you to hate Kaneki. Like, that's literally it. You have a problem. Like, you have a problem, bro. So let's see. At least on Jason, I got substantially less that the Jesus. Then playing the tall Brazilian woman, I'll take what I can get at this point. Yep, that's the DBD community in a nutshell. Oh look, another survivor main. But it's a LARPing survivor main, because it says Legion main enters the room. You don't speak for me. Killers are strong right now. I only ever lose if it's a strong 3 to 4 stack. Other than that, pretty easy. So in other words, you're playing against fresh installs, and then you want to claim that, oh, killer's easy for everyone. Why is everyone complaining? I'm like, you're playing against fresh installed people. Jason also just came out, right? So a bunch of new players are probably playing Survivor to try it out. You're facing them. They don't know what they're doing. Duh. Like, no, but it's easy for everybody because it's easy for me. Like, that doesn't mean anything. What the fuck are you talking about? And then this one wants to say broken ass like Jason. Yeah, low IQ, dog. We don't have, like, who has the energy anymore? Oh, this person says, I really don't understand the point of posts like this. Anyone can post something like this without actual evidence that they are really seeing this in their matches. I personally haven't seen much of Jason or Ghoul. Is there something that we're supposed to discuss here? Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad somebody said it. This person says, sometimes I feel like I'm the only one not seeing these guys. Last time I saw Ghoul was over 10 matches ago. Last I saw Jason was over 20. Like my most recent matches have been Clown, Wraith, Legion, Artist, Hillbilly, Pyramid Head, Clown, Plague, Freddy, Wesker, Oni, Ghoul, Dr. Bubba, Blight, Hillbilly, Wraith, Stranger Things, Vecna, Wesker, Bubba, Wesker, Jason, Crossu, Huntress. That's what, 18 different killers in my last 30 matches, obviously not including my killer rounds, only one Ghoul, one Jason on all of it. I know it's because I don't always take the game seriously, so I'm probably not the highest MMR on the planet, but it's just wild how much more variety I get compared to others. I'll be real though, even for me, I didn't realize how much variety I had recently. I'm like, wow. Now that I've said it, I'm about to enter Ghoul and Jason L. Now, this is something that I've constantly talked about. This is what I wish we had more of. More people that have some self-awareness to understand. Like, maybe they're not in the highest MMR. You could be at the average. You could be at the low, which is perfectly fine. You don't have to be a high MMR sweat. That's just not necessary. If you enjoy the game at the low the average MMR, that's perfectly up to you. That is your prerogative. That's how you decide to play the game. But at least have some self-awareness. You can't run around and tell people that killer is easy when you only experience the lowest average MMR and actively, because there are people that do this, tank their MMR by losing on purpose to keep their MMR low and then want to continue to claim, oh, but killer's easy. You're an idiot. You're actively telling people some bullshit, which we covered this previously in a different video. I can't remember which one it was, but I know that somebody had said, oh, killer's easy. Then in the same exact forum post, responding to somebody that said, oh yeah, I always lose on purpose to keep my MMR low. And I'm just like, so you're just admitting that you're smurfing on purpose to keep your MMR low. So it is what it is. So this person says, truthfully, I think it'd be best if maps and things like palette count and generator speed are determined by killers. So you don't, but I still don't think that Jason's broken whatsoever, but regardless. Also be adjusted each 30 days based on their data. No brainer. Hasn't happened in 10 years. Just killer power creep. Why doesn't anyone play old killers? Because all new killers have multiple powers that the older killers have. That's not entirely what's happening. I've mentioned it before, especially as a killer player. Like, a lot of casuals are not I don't imagine they're necessarily trying to play this game to like that much. So they're more than likely going to be in the low to average MMRs, of course. On top of that, you're like, these people are also going to be going against new players. Jason's a new release. A lot of people want to play Jason, or they want to try out that new Survivor that came out, yada yada yada. Like, there are going to be a lot of newbies coming in, so of course you're going to have much easier games because a majority of those players more than likely are going to be new. Now, unfortunately, because I had tried to win for so long on the characters that I played, I've only been going against like people that want to also sweat their asses off. So it's unfun for me. I don't even play it at all anymore because it's not fun, and it's really uninteresting, especially when they get handheld so freely as a Survivor player. So it's just not fun. But power creep really isn't necessarily the problem. Like, the thing is that what makes it lack variety is because of the Survivor buffs make it so that people who want to win are then incentivized to pick things that are stronger and avoid the things that are weaker. So that's why people, even like myself, I don't play Ghostface anymore. I've retired that character because of the fact that he's just terrible, and against most teams it's just not going to work. He's too slow, right? So that's why Kaneki has the mobility to keep up. Blight has the mobility to keep up. Well, maybe less so now, but still, he has a dash that allows him to get around the map and stuff. That is going to provide more value than walking around with Trapper. You know what I mean? You're just going to have like more time to do things because you can get to places faster. You're saving time just by definition. So this person right here, once again, the killer LARPer says that I have a lot of variety when there isn't a new killer being overplayed. As you can see, yep. You know, it's always within the DNA of what they write. It's always has to be killers are the problem, and survivors are these little angels that can't do anything wrong, and yada yada yada. You know what I'm saying? Because no killer is ever overplayed. Like, but he's bitching because, oh, you know, but why is everyone playing the new killer? Like you're just dumb. You're just dumb. Like that's just what it is. They said I don't really think MMR has much to do with it. My escape rate is around 60% for the month, so I know I'm not at the bottom. Yeah, you are at the bottom actually, because you're being handheld your way out. So of course you're getting a decent escape rate. Now, they have shown a screenshot before that they only have played about what, like 200 matches total. So from the same person, mind you, same person. I think it was a previous post or whatever it was that we covered. They literally showed a screenshot. They've only played like 200 matches of Survivor total. So of course your escape rate is going to be high because there's no data to skew it. It's like if you play one match of a killer and you get a 4K, it's going to say your kill rate is at like 100 or something according to DVD stats because there's no data. It's how a graph works. If anybody has seen a scatter plot fucking graph, you know that one dot versus a bunch of dots on the fucking graph is going to have different data varying because of it. But of course, bro doesn't think MMR has much to do with it because he's in low MMR, so he has never experienced any of those things. So regardless. So this person is trying to claim that Nurse isn't at the top of any MMR ranking, but but you're not really showing any data for that. Position on tier list is based on people's idea of potential capabilities versus actually performing, which ends up leading to kills like Pig outperforming her on average. So the numbers show that she's an unstoppable monster you can't escape without handicapping. They aren't going to add handicapping to further lower her kill rates. The thing is, like I keep saying, you gotta offer some kind of source. This person it says the devs already do provide perks that are hard to use, provide massive benefits, and no actual counter. Hyperfocus, for example, has no actual counterplay that the killer can do to prevent you from using it. Is 100% on your end if you get that benefit. It's a very, very good point. And this is sort of like, you know what I find really funny is like we're seeing like the two sides of the coin. We have somebody with over 10k posts that is able to explain the game in detail and can it like basically I don't know if the word is dispute, but they can look at basically what the point is being here, and they can provide examples that disagree with what they're saying, and it makes sense compared to the killer larper over here who has 4k posts and doesn't have any fucking clue what he's talking about and has only played 200 matches of Survivor. So who knows? I mean, it's really interesting seeing the two sides of the coin. And then of course, once again, this is how you know when people are very low IQ, don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Bro says that Hyperfocus has the counter of Scream builds. Now, let me ask you this, okay? In what universe? What scenario is anybody using a Scream build popularized by, popularized by the big channels for meme build purposes, and it literally provides no competitive or a very small competitive advantage as a killer? Oh man, like that's the first thing that comes out of your mouth as a Scream build, buddy. Wow, like these people never fail to surprise with how stupid they can get. In what universe does a Scream build offer a counter to anything in this game at this point? But apparently Hyperfocus is countered by a Scream. Apparently. Sure it is. And no, it's not countered by gen regression, because that, no, it's in gen blocking, you could maybe say that. But no, skill check builds don't do that, because skill check builds are situational. Skill check builds are affected by specific perks and are not affected by hyperfocus, because hyperfocus can be active at any point that it wants. It's a passive at the end of the day. Most skill checks are based around either a kicking event. So for example, if they're using oppression, which requires it to be off cooldown, and then it hits 3 gens at random. It's not even like within a certain range or whatever. It's just random. So it could be it could be a gen with nothing on it. It could be a gen that somebody's on. It could be a gen somewhere else, but it's just at random. So you can't choose the person that's on the gen using hyperfocus. You can say, oh, but Hunter's Lullaby, but that's limited by the fact that it's a totem that is easily destroyed with people who can see where it is, because it's not hard to find. These totem spots are never really hidden, and they tend to spawn in the middle of the open. So I don't entirely understand what about some skill check build. Ooh, like that no. Nobody's using skill check builds. Nobody's using screen builds. Gen regression it does not affect hyperfocus, because hyperfocus is a passive, and it will give you more skill checks and make them more effective. So regardless of what magical imagination land that they believe that hyperfocus is countered by gen regression, but it's mind-boggling to see this. It really is. It's insane how idiotic it becomes. They say that there's no perk that survivors have that is an automatic win if you are just that good, like killers have with Nurse. Dog, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, bro? Nobody's saying that there's a fucking perk. So I think this is what they call a straw man, because nobody is saying that you auto win with a perk. But we are saying that there are perks that provide massive advantages that lead to automatic wins. Sort of the Burden exists, Decisive Strike, Dead Hard. I mean, any second chance under the sun. I'm like, all of these things are contributing to a free escape. Like, just say it is what it is. Like, if these perks weren't in play, then you would not be able to escape for free, because they're being carried by their weaknesses, right? Their weaknesses are being carried to victory because of the perks aiding all of that. They do badly in chase. Oh, but here's endurance. You do badly in chase. Here's another perk you can get for free. You're getting chased again. Here's another perk that you can get for free. So this person says, because strong killers are not allowed and having strong killers that are popular is even worse. Nurse being strong doesn't matter as much when you don't see her that often. You get more Nurse posts after popular killers get reduced to junk, which is true. And thank you once again to this guy. He says, there's no perk that a killer that has that affects great skill checks or makes them harder. And then he wants to go, Hunter's Lullaby. I'm like, it's a totem. So your counter for the perk that I'm not allowed to know is in play is to keep interrupting the survivor that I don't know has the perk, while at the same time building stacks for Hunter's Lullaby and hope that it isn't cleansed. I need to do this before you get skill check. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to Lord Glint, bro. Bro is cooking right now. Their entire argument is, oh, but it's Hunter's. It's a totem. And you need to get hook states first. So you can already touch the gen and get hyper focus value before Huntress even gets a chance to build stacks. It's like, it's dumb. Oh, so you'd also be fine with survivors knowing in advance what killer they are going against, since they aren't allowed to know who it is until it's too late. Argument does not say anything that you realize how bad your argument is. Holy straw man argument, dog. Nobody's even saying that. Like, I think that's the right term, because I'm like, dog, what are you talking about, bro? How does a perk effect that you cannot counter have anything to do with the selection of the killer itself? Like, that's not what's being mentioned here. That's not even what we're talking about. So now we're shifting the goalpost, which is even more insane. So let's go ahead and look at bro's response. He says, my point was I wouldn't know the perk was in play and who has it until the score screen. I'm supposed to keep interrupting that guy, but the perk has no tell or animation as it's being used. Exactly. And that's what I've mentioned before. It's like any skill check builds, ooh, those are hyper specific ass perks that require either randomness, which is you have to hope that oppression hits the right gen that they're on, I guess, but then it goes on cooldown. Hyper focus doesn't, so it just does what it wants. So I'm like, that doesn't work that way. Huntress Lullaby requires you to get hooks first, meaning that hyper focus will continue to stack up value even way before it even has a chance to get value, like the Huntress for even to build up stacks to get its value. And then it can be cleansed in between all that versus hyper focus that is active at all times. That, what do you mean? Like, they're not even remotely the same. It's not even the same thing. And it was, as mentioned previously, screen builds. I'm like, which we already discussed, screen builds also are not effective. Because let's remember what these builds can do, right? What are the screen perks? You have one from Springtrap, you have to be seen, and it activates like once, and then it goes on a 90-second cooldown or something. You have, what is the other one? Like, it's that other one that I forgot what it was called. It's not distressing. It's like that other one. They scream when you down them. Requires a down, only activates once. You have, oh, but Hex Face of Darkness. Okay, but healing speed is super fast. You have to injure somebody for it to be active. And it's also a totem, so it's affected by people breaking the totem, which means that I can't get value out of it as much as hyper focus can stay in play. So they want to pretend like this is some kind of gotcha, but it's like it's not. Like you're like, oh, but harder skill checks. Like, no. Skill check builds also may require you to be within the killer's terror radius for that to really affect it. But then if a killer is running those perks, that takes up what, two or three perk slots, which means that they have less slowdown in general. And then gen regression doesn't matter because hyper focus directly attacks it by progressing the gen faster. We're basically reducing all the work that was put in. And then gen blocking, you can maybe say that, but even then, gen blocking is situational because the only gen blocks are either 25 seconds on one gen. They're either Grim Embrace, which is 10 seconds on all gens, but it only lasts for 10 seconds one time, and then you need a brand new hook. So, like, regardless of what example you want to bring, they're not even remotely the same thing. Because those perks have a timer and they're active for a certain span of time. Hyperfocus can be active at any time it wants. It ignores a bunch of those things. And then by bro saying running Grim or Pain Res and you're already countering it means that they don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like I keep saying, it's low IQ, idiotic survivor mains that don't play killer, don't know what the fuck you're talking about, don't do their research. And then they want to say they have toolboxes because utter garbage of the toolbox. It sounds like a skill issue to me. If you can't hit a fucking skill check, do better. But anyway, so they say, because skill checks must be the hardest thing on Survivor at this point, let's be so honest. So they say a toolbox isn't a requirement, just a stacking effect. They're saying I should do various actions which might affect someone if they're running that perk. Pain Res, for example, might trigger on the gen they're on. The Scream perk might trigger in their area. Yeah, which is very true. I forgot to mention that. The other Scream perks are what the locker one, but they had to be near the locker. So like, no, like that doesn't really work. It's inconsistent. They might not even have the perk and are instead using another perk that also has no tells that requires a different counter, like Overzealous. Unlike killer perks, which almost always have a tell, allowing perceptive survivors to figure out the entire loadout, that's not the case for at least half of survivor perks, which makes toxic countering them pretty iffy. Yes, thank you. And this person even shows an example where bro is bringing hyper focus stakeout, which makes it easier to use, 5 moves ahead as well, and a medkit. And then it says the entire loadout is perks that a killer has no way of identifying, but it says 5 moves ahead can be guessed if you really pay attention to the palette toss. Yeah. So, and then because they have no response, this is what they say. They say, you're still just gonna say you want to be able to see all Perk Survivor loadouts, or do you have an actual point? I'm like, so bro gave you the point, but you're too dumb to realize what the point is. You can't argue with it, bro. So let's continue, bro. Let's continue. They say at no point did I say I wanted to see anything in the lobby, but if you're going, so straw man, right, from the other guy. It says if you're gonna suggest perk specific counterplay, and there has to be a way to identify the perk in the match at least. If I brought ultimate weapon, for example, specifically to counter this perk, it doesn't help if I don't know which of the 4 has it into the score screen. Ultimately, in case you forgot how this conversation started, similar to nurse, which hypothetically could be unstoppable if the player controlling her never made a mistake and played like a machine, hyperfocus similarly is only kept in check by player skill with skill checks. It could have drastically higher success, but but player skill is a deciding factor. People failing to hit grades is the only reason it isn't having much higher escape rates. And then their entire argument is just being pain rats, it's getting pathetic, and no, hyperfocus is not the equivalent of nurse. Bro, like, is living in living in strawman land. I don't, brother. This is just amazing. And then it says, yeah, having something in the game that has a high skill for which if used to its maximum potential will allow you to finish your objective faster than anything else isn't comparable to having something in the game that has a high skill for which if used to its maximum potential would allow you to finish your objective faster than anything else. Have you thought to just counter nurse with the perk to mildly last longer? Just bring Dead Hard. This is getting pathetic. I'm glad that he also reflected the same statement that he did. And it kind of boils down to what I've constantly mentioned about survivor mains within the DBD forums and in the DBD community. They are constantly wrong. They're constantly wrong in every way possible. And they continue to try to cope and bitch and complain and cry because they know they're wrong. We've even seen this previously with a different content creator who was a survivor main. When I brought up a very valid point that streaks are rare, are celebrated because not everyone can do them, and their only rebuttal was they don't care. So if that doesn't tell you, what you're dealing with the survivor players of this caliber, and it's not all, like I keep saying, but when you get a majority that are like this, that are conducting themselves in this way where they just refuse to have any conversation, they refuse to provide evidence, they refuse to take accountability for their stupidity, this is the response you end up getting. But if you guys want to watch my other channels, man, we got them linked in the description. So I would highly recommend that. We got some new videos coming out for those. And if you want to support, you can also become a member on YouTube or even Patreon or even subbing on Twitch to support me directly, so we can continue to work on those other projects. And let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, we're gonna shout out all the members. So shout out Patreon Crow Vader. So we have Evil Blade 17, Lord Whip with an F there, and then 6540. We have Razmakai, Cozy with Brando, Cap Courteous as well. We got Kargan Falcon, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Christian, and Crow Vader. Appreciate you guys, man. And if you want your name read off at the end of every video, of course, consider becoming a member on this channel. It could be the badge or I'm a member now tier. Either one works. And you get exclusive perks and content. So check it out, man. Appreciate you guys, man. It means a lot. I'll see you guys in the next one, man.